Good morning, children. So, where were we yesterday? Let us straight away go to your social class. Yes, History Chapter 3, right? Neolithic Farmers and Herders, page number 117. Okay, so yesterday we saw about this the farming during the Neolithic period. First of all, what is Neolithic period? It is basically a period of transformation, right, where the transformation took place. We saw about the domestication of animals. Today we will be discussing about certain type of particular tools, or you can say Neolithic tools, okay, which were used by the people during that age. Let's start page number 118. During the Neolithic age, people began to produce polished and fine cutting tools. These tools were much sharper than those used in the Mesolithic period. The tools of the Neolithic age were designed to suit the need to grow and reap crops. Underline. The tools of the Neolithic age were designed to suit the need to grow and reap crops. Hence, people used tools such as axes, plow, sickles, and hoes to clear forests and harvest the crops. To grind grain, they used a kind of rounded stone that resembled the mortar and pestle used today. Besides, they also made spindles and home needles. Alright, so here in this particular paragraph, there are mainly names of certain type of tools which you will have to be familiar with. So the only way is that you'll have to memorize those names. But what were those tools used for? Let us discuss that. So basically, in the Neolithic age, what people started doing is that they started making, better tools as compared to the tools which were used in the Mesolithic period. Okay. First point. Second point, the tools which were used in Neolithic age, they were actually made as per the need of you can say, for farming. For example, the need to grow and reap crops. Some of the tools which they used during those days, which they made for their requirement, are underline axes, plow, sickles, and hoes, as these tools help them to clear forests, and why they clear forests? For harvesting crops. There were also some other tools which they used, like a kind of a rounded stone that was mainly used to grind grain, and this rounded stone, it resembled quite similar to a mortar and a pestle that is used today. Beside this, they also made, beside this stone which was used for grinding grains, they also made spindles and home needles. Okay, so all these names of tools you'll have to remember. Next para. Figure 3.2, if you see, there are some pictures of some tools. What I would ask you to do is that pictures are mentioned out here, but the name of this particular tools, it isn't mentioned. So try to find out that this tool, what is the name of each particular tool, so that you have a better understanding. You can take the help of your internet at home. Okay. Some of the Paleolithic and Mesolithic tools continued to be used during the Neolithic age. Microliths, about which we have read in the previous chapter, were used in spears and arrows. These were made of basalt and flint tied to a piece of wood or bone for a firm grip. Okay. There were also some tools which were basically made during this Paleolithic or Mesolithic age, and some of them, not all, some of the Paleolithic and Mesolithic tools were also continued during this Neolithic period. Like, for example, microlith. microlith was, something which was used in spears and arrows, and these were basically made from basalt and flint. It was basalt and flint which was tied to a piece of wood, or if not wood, say a bone, so that you have a solid grip, a firm grip, and it can be used in the form of a tool. And this macrolith is an example of a tool which continued from Paleolithic, or you can say from Mesolithic, and it was used in Neolithic as well. Some sites such as Burzahum, Gufkral in Jammu and Kashmir, stone axes have been found in large number. Besides, stone blades, stone cells, chisels, etc. have also been found in the Deccan, Northeast, and Chota Nagpur Plateau. Okay, so some places in our country, like Burzahum, there's a site called Burzahum, and also a place called Gufkral, which is in Jammu Kashmir. In this particular areas, large number of stone axes have been found there, and not only stone axes, even stone blades, stone cells, chisels, and all these things have been found, especially in the Deccan, and also in Northeast and Chota Nagpur Plateau as well, which gives us an idea, an example of some of the tools which were used by people of those days. Next, pottery. A farming increasing became a popular practice and therefore expanded the Neolithic people. The Neolithic people felt the need to store food grains they produce. They started making pots and vessels for storing food grains. Underline that, they started making pots and vessels for storing food grains. So that was the main reason why did they start making pots. These were also used for eating, drinking, cooking, etc. As a result, the craft of making pots, that is pottery, came into existence. Initially, in the beginning, the Neolithic people wove baskets out of wild grass, applied wet clay around the baskets, and dried them in the sun. They used the baskets to store surplus grains. Gradually, they learned to make clay vessels and bake it on fire. They also started glazing and decorating the pots. These pots could be used for storing milk or water. Alright. So it all started because of food grains, the making of pots. And gradually, slowly, from the first use was to store food grains, and later on it went on expanding for various particular uses as well. So when farming started increasing, okay, and it became very popular, everybody started practicing farming, and during the Neolithic period, the people, they felt like the food grains which they have produced, that needs to be stored, as because everything cannot be consumed, it cannot be made use of at one go. So that was the reason that these people thought of making pots and vessels in order to store food grains. Now, these pots, which were mainly used for storing food grains, they also started using this for other purposes such as eating, drinking, cooking, etc. As a result, what happened is that the craft of making pot, continued. More and more people started making pots, and that is where pottery came into existence. In the beginning of the Neolithic people, they also even made baskets out of wild grass, and later on they will apply some wet clay and keep it in the sun in order to be dried. Once it is dried, these baskets were also used to store the excessive grain that they had. And gradually, from making pot to baskets, they also started learning making clay vessels and used to bake them in the fire. And in the later stage, they started decorating these pots, glazing these pots, and these pots were also used for storing water, liquid things like storing water, milk, and all. Next we have invention of wheel and cart. We'll mark it up to this much. Invention of wheel and cart will be discussed in the next class. Now let us go to the exercise. Fill in the blanks. Number 5, assignment for the day. Number 6, match the column later on. True or false also. Match the column and true or false will be done after the end of the chapter. Answer the following question in brief. Wheel cart not required. For the early human, the change in a home. Okay, there is a case study. All right. Okay, not now, as we haven't done yet. So for the day you have fill in the blanks number 5 and 6, and write down a question with the pencil in your text. Let me also note down. Describe the making of tools. Write down. During the Neolithic period or Neolithic age, whatever you say. Also mention its uses. Alright, that will be one. That means the whole of tools, okay, but we have explained. Next we have also done pottery, right? How, another question, how did pottery come into existence? Okay, how, you have to explain the process. How did pottery come into existence? Question mark. Next part of the question, same question, okay. What were the uses of pots during the Neolithic age? That's all. So this will be the assignment for the day. Alright, see you there in the next class. Read the text. Only if you read the text, these questions you will be able to answer, or else you will be scratching your head. And also listen to the class. If you listen to the explanation, the questions which I gave you, the answers I have already discussed. See you then. God bless you all.